heat's not working.
Anti-Semitism in Christian country is very bad. Like when they demonstrate from the store and the universities. In Turkey, the president talked 24/7 against Israel. There is not a single event against the Jews. And they all...
To me, it's only rhetoric, not yet.
People respect you when you go to shopping. They know that you are...
They know they're Jewish.
Yeah. And they told me the same thing was in Aleppo. The government is different, but the people, they used to...
He says in Turkey, the president speaks against Israel all the time. But the
24/7, the guy is sick in his mind. It's really scary here. In college countries, they don't let the Hanukkah things overnight. They put it inside because you got to be vandalism.
Look a second at the beginning of Perashat Miketz. The page is 222. 222. A very interesting comparison. Listen carefully to this. Listen carefully to the dream. 7 good-looking cows, healthy, grazing. Then Sheva parot acharot orot acharahem min hayod. Then the 7 skinny, bad-looking, and they're standing next to each other. Pay attention now to Pasuk Dalet. ותאכלנה הפרות רעות המראה ודקות הבשר את 7 הפרות יפות המראה. How come it doesn't say ותאכלנה? The 7 bad-looking cows ate the 7 good ones, but the 7 good ones it says 7. But it doesn't say ותאכלנה, the 7 ate. The same is by the second one. Again, when the Pasuk is presenting the dream, 7 and 7. 7 good-looking, fat, 7 skinny, bad-looking. When they swallow, it says, the bad-looking swallowed the 7 good-looking. It doesn't say the 7. Next dream is exactly the same. You have in the second dream, you saw Sheva Shibolim Dakot, 7 very good-looking stalks of wheat, bad-looking, Vativlana Pasuk Zayin, Shibolim Adakot et Sheva Shibolim Abriot, which means when it comes to swallow, the Pasuk repeats that this was the 7 good cow, the 7 good Shibolim. Who swallowed? It doesn't mention the name, the number 7. Says the Nativ something very interesting. Remember, as we follow the story, and we read about the 7 good years. When did the brothers come back? When did Yosef reveal himself? This is by the 2nd year. When Yaakov comes, the famine stops. So you cannot say here that the 7 bad years or the 7 bad cows swallowed the 7 good. It wasn't 7, it was only 2. Look how in the dream already you have a hint that the bad is not going to continue 7. This is why when the 7 good cows are being swallowed, this is the 7 good years. The 7 good-looking shiborim are swallowed. It's 7. Who swallowed them? It doesn't say 7, because it never materialized into 7. It's amazing to see the text.
I never realized that.
The Netziv, it's a very interesting interpretation. What's very interesting, Joseph, is 17 years later, Yaakov died. There's one opinion in the Midrash here that the famine came back.
Oh wow.
Because if
Oh, it wasn't complete.
The dream had to be
come true.
completed, yes.
So it had to be 7 then?
But this is like
It came later.
many years later.
2 plus 5.
Right now, which means in the dream, immediately in the dream, after 2 years.
What was it 2 years? You said I missed that.
Rabbi, I didn't understand what you said, Rabbi. I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said?
As Joseph said, me too, before I saw it yesterday. If you read carefully the dream, the 7 good cows, the 7 good-looking shibolim are swallowed by the bad cows, but it doesn't say by the 7 bad cows. It says it's swallowed by the bad ones. The same is by shibolim. Why don't you say the 7 bad-looking cows, the skinny ones, swallow the 7 good ones? It says no, the 7 good ones are swallowed by the bad. The pasuk cannot say it.
Didn't say how many bad ones.
Because the bad ones were not 7. The bad ones were only 2. After 2 years, the famine stopped. As Yaakov Avinu comes to Mitzrayim. The opinion in the Midrash, and the Ramban brings it later, after 17 years when Yaakov died, one opinion is that the famine continued.
But the 2 years is what?
When's the 2 years, Rabbi? After he died, 2 years after, and when he went to Eretz Israel? Or when?
Read the text. Vahi miketz shnatayim yamim uParo chole. Correct? Correct?
Yeah.
Listen carefully, Joseph. Later, after the 7 years, Yaakov is telling his children to come down. Yes. He said by the 2nd year, for the first year they didn't come. Yes. They came down to Egypt, Yaakov and his children, by the 2nd year of famine. Yes.
So, Rabbi,
And then he reveals himself to them. And then Yaakov comes down. So the famine really lasted only 2 years. And the first thing Yaakov didn't send his children. And he says, everyone talks about it. The Jews.
Cycle 7 years, but what 7 years back, 7 years more, 7 years back.
Rabbi, so Yaakov, you're only counting the years of famine that was in Eretz Israel. You're not counting what happened in Mitzrayim because of...
The Pele in the Pasuk. Yeah. The Pele in the Pasuk. Yaakov, the Pasuk says, after Yosef is being, promoted to his, and Paro recognized, last night we showed that Paro didn't blindly believe him. If you read carefully the story that Paro is telling him, Joseph is changing minor details, and Yosef is correcting him. You mean he's showing him, I know exactly. He's appointing him to be, the second in command. Look a second, on page 230. 7, page 230, Suknun. Ule Yosef Yulad Shnei Banim, 2 sons were born to Yosef, B'terem, before the famine began. Yes, and he names them. Let's follow the names. That's a very Pasuk 51. Vayikra Yosef et Shem Abechor Menashe, Ki nashani Elohim et kol amarim. That called Avir. Rani will read for us 51 in English, please.
Yosef called the name of firstborn Menashe, for God has made me forget all my hardship and all my father's household.
This is how you name your son? Wow. God, thank you for making me forgetting all the hardship. Wow. What are you saying?
What does it mean?
Says the Rav of Brisk, a human being cannot exist if he carries in his personal computer the heart and the brain, his hardship. Can you imagine that every day you wake up, my father thinks I'm dead, my brother sold me, I was 10 years in jail. It says Yosef looks on him as a special chesed that God gave him in order to fulfill, as this is the biggest of the big. You read biographies of survivors of wars, survivors of Holocaust. For years and years, they are haunted by it. Yosef says, "Thank you, Hashem." But you realize by naming his son, he reminds himself.
But it's past it. That's his heart.
Regular. This is why. Now, if you follow the story from the time that
And if you keep on calling him that name, it means that you're still remembering
That's what the
the
rabbi
thing.
said.
this is the point, you still remember.
You remember, but you
Remember,
Moving
but
on,
don't
moving
remember.
on.
You understand? I'm moving on.
That's the whole mental health industry today.
Well, you would forget totally, not have some.
No,
It's a huge
no,
industry.
the idea is to remember and be able to.
The mental industry today, billions of dollars are based on this philosophy in one word in the pursuit. You can't forget.
It's there.
It's like- you can't forget it. But don't let it be in front of you and control everything you do during the day.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
You understand? Because
you think the path of your parents or your father, whatever, and you move on, like, you know what I'm saying? You don't ever forget.
So you don't try to equate good out of it, Rabbi?
You just
Try to
did.
say- I understand. No. You
it's the
didn't quite say
good
it.
of the good of the good that can happen.
Right.
None of us can ever, million years together. Your family sold you, wanted to kill you, they dropped you in the pit, they sold you to Arabs, 10 years accusation, jail for 12 years. Here,
There's some commentary here.
His boss is chasing after him.
Some commentators here. The commentators agree that Yosef could not have been so crass as to be thankful that he had forgotten his grieving father.
Right.
To the contrary, the very fact that he gave this name showed that he remembered Yaakov, although Yosef would ordinarily have been obligated by the mitzvah of honoring his father to contact him. Nevertheless, the band
this is a separate
imposed by his
question, yeah.
brothers prevented him from doing so.
now look now on page 232 on top. וירא יעקב כי יש שבר במצרים. Okay, that's commentary on that. Yaakov realizes that there is food in Egypt, even though the famine is everywhere, but he also felt there's something good in Egypt waiting for him. ויאמר יעקב לבניו, למה תתראו? This is
Fly under the radar.
the Jewish blessing that becomes our curse. Okay, look at the English translation. So Jacob said to his sons, why do you make
yourselves conspicuous?
not conspicuous?
Don't
When
show.
people are hungry and you walk in the street with a corned beef sandwich, yes? When people are hungry and you walk with a hot pizza and everyone has to look at you. This is our problem through history, yes? Be under the radar. You have to go down to Egypt. So even though Yaakov now has food, not that he has food for 10 years, right now we don't need it, but we have to show everyone that we are part of that.
He has to send all his kids there.
Oh,
I mean,
good,
after
good.
the
This is a
lesson
good
from
question.
Yosef.
See, this is a very important point. Joseph is asking, why is he sending his 10? So this is a very interesting question. Look, Joseph in Pasuk Gimel.
You didn't send Benjamin.
That's right, it's 10.
He's asking why
Why the rest of
10?
them?
Send
Send
two.
two.
Send
We
two.
just send
and
one or
come
two
with
just to check it out and let us know.
Just to come with food to the
If you have
family.
the food on at home and you want to show.
Look at Pasuk Gimel, very strange Pasuk. Vayirdu, remember.
Hey Yosef. Yeah, why is it saying that also? Why Hey Yosef?
This is a very good question. וירדו אחרי יוסף 10 לשבור אחרי יוסף, really? וירדו, Yaakov is addressing his children.
Sure. Yeah, but he's telling them.
Please look at the Rashi Pasuk Gimel. Look, this is the answer to Joseph's question. Look, Joseph, here's the question, Joseph. Why is the Pasuk saying Vayirdu? The brothers of Yosef go. The children of Yaakov go. The brothers of Yosef. Look at the Rashi, Joseph. ולא כתב בני יעקב, ולמד שהיו מתחרטים במכירתו. By now, they start to regret. And they are going purposely to look for him. And when they come into town, they decide that each one goes through a different gate
To look for him.
to look for him.
Not
This
just,
is why the 10 are going. Look at the Rashi. ולא כתב בני יעקב מלמד שהיו מתחרטים במכירתו ונתנו ליבם להתנהג עמו באחווה. We are going to become his brothers again. ולפדותו and to redeem him
Funny.
בכל ממון שיפסקו עליו. Any amount of money someone would ask us, we would pay for. I mean, the Pasuk is showing us the beginning of the transition in the mindset, okay?
Rabbi, you said before that the Ra'av was 2 years. So the way I'm reading it, if you go back to Pasuk Nun, Yosef Yilad Shnei Banim B'Terem Tavo Shenat Hara'av. The bare minimum of Shenat Ra'av, Shenat is plural, bare minimum is 2.
This is another. The point
Could that be like
his children were born before the year 1 began.
Right, but before the 2 years, but the 2 years that the Ra'av lasted.
Well,
That's the way I'm
okay,
reading it.
no,
I don't know,
okay,
maybe I'm
okay,
reading it
okay.
backwards.
How are they like studying
a
at such a
history.
young age?
How
They were like
what?
they were officers already at such a young age. These Menashe and Ephraim.
But again, through Tanakh, you see that the age of maturity, the physical maturity and the mental was totally different.
They killed the whole city.
Yesterday I heard that some would wonder why Yaakov sent 10, put all his children technically at risk, but then they said was because it was a minyan. And the minyan, 10, has a certain power to withstand any challenges. And that he didn't, the 10 was a power to give them like a protection, so to speak, that they could help protect each other because they were part of the minyan, as I heard yesterday.
It's cute the way, but look at Pasuk Hey, Joseph. ויבואו בני ישראל לשבור בתוך הבאים. מה זה בתוך הבאים? Tens of thousands are coming to Egypt. The Jewish kids are coming among those who are coming to Egypt. This says Rashi בתוך הבאים. This is a little bit different than the minyan. מתמירים עצמם שלא יכירון.
Will they disguise themselves?
No, that's right.
They are mingling among the crowds. לפי שציווה להם אביהם שלא יתראו כולם. Don't come in as a group. Look at them, the Jews, the tall, good-looking Jews. not me. אלא שייכנס כל אחד בפתחו.
Each one came from a different gate.
10 gates. Each one of you goes to a different gate. כדי שלא תשלוט בהם העין הרע שכולם נעים וכולם גיבורים. It's a Jew. Look carefully now. Look carefully now how in retrospect.
Oh, what about the salmon?
I have the pizza, so maybe somebody eat the salmon here.
No one. Well, they don't-
Give him a mess.
That's what they give you?
Georgia.
Look
not
a
Larry.
second.
No, it's Yaakov.
Yeah, you
No,
look a
it's not
second
Yaakov.
in 234. Look
Eli.
a second and 234. The next page. Pasuk, this is a perek mebet pasuk.
Baby Ollie.
This is the way it sounds very often when people unmute and we had conversation. Sure,
Eli.
life happens very often.
Is it the only person that's not muted is Eli?
Everyone, no,
Prepared.
millions. He's one, but there are many others. A million times that people don't hear him say.
You don't realize. I always try
But this is the point. I have a fellow. He's on mute. He talks to his nurse. He's in Miami.
Yes.
And I told him quietly.
He's not on mute?
He's not muted very often.
You think you're on mute. By the way, sometimes Rabbi goes off mute.
He's right.
I'm always on mute. And he told me one time, I'm like,
Look a second at the pasuk. Joseph, look at the pasuk. Joseph,
Because you have a Turkish phone. You both have Turkish phones.
look a second at the pasuk.
By the way, you're gonna be making iPhones in India soon.
ויזכור יוסף,
I don't get dressed.
David, look carefully at the pasuk. ויזכור יוסף את החלומות אשר חלם, ויאמר עליהם, listen carefully, ויאמר עליהם מרגלים אתם. You can ask yourself, why is he accusing them of spies? Who are thieves? No, I mean, look at this it's an accusation, there's no base. ויאמר עליהם מרגלים, you are spies, murderers. Says the Bet Arabin, this is a brilliant English. This man is the most powerful man in the country. If they are thieves, why are we brought to see you, Vice President? Spies.
What?
Spies. I'm in charge of the security. Yosef in his brilliancy has to make them believe
that he's over them.
I have to talk to
I'm the
you.
man.
If there are thieves or murderers
Why are you wasting your time with
Goes to the
go
police.
to the local police.
Yeah,
They
right.
are
Spies, he has the control.
They have to come to him.
Look. Look what they answered. This. ויאמרו אליו, לא אדוני, ועבדיך באו לשבור אוכל, which is truth. We came to buy food. כולנו בני איש אחד אנחנו. Why do you have to bring the father? We are the sons of the same father. A father would never send all his kids on a dangerous mission. The fact that we have one father, this is, look at the pasuk as, לא היו עבדיך מרגלים. The fact that we are 10, yes, shows you, and one father shows you we are not spies. Because no one, I mean, I know a family of the two parents were Holocaust survivors. They never let the two kids they had to fly the same flight.
Many people like
No, but this is, no, but you realize this is what they're saying. If we are spies, now.
Rabbi, I heard something very interesting. He said they also, Yosef accused, because by accusing, they couldn't request information back.
Right.
Because it shows you, how could you request anything from Yosef? We're looking for our they couldn't ask anything.
Yosef continues. ויאמר עליהם, no, but listen carefully how they are. ויאמר עליהם לא, כי ערוות הארץ באתם אליהם. You are spies. You came to see the Achilles heel of the country. Based on what? Because they came through 9 different gates.
They checked out.
If you are brothers, hey,
Why are you separating?
this is what they answer it back. Look at the text. ויאמרו 12 עבדיך אחים אנחנו, בני איש אחד בארץ כנען. והנה הקטון את אבינו היום, והאחד אלינו. Why do you have to give him the information that one brother is done?
And what is at home?
This is the excuse why we came with 12 different gates, because we are looking for him. You realize? Look, it's a quiet conversation. You are claiming that the fact we came separate is the proof. On the contrary, the fact that we have one father and one is our brothers is gone is the explanation. Why?
It's a strong item, Rabbi, when 10 people go in 10 different gates.
No, it's certainly. Anyway, Chabal, but let me show you something. It says here, Chabal, I have to run. But look at 7 what he tells them. Anyway, I'm going to jail one of you, and okay. Then he says, look at the beginning of 236, and Yosef listens to them, but we are guilty. Why didn't we listen to the cry and begging of our brother? Okay? Look at the
I
pasuk.
heard yesterday that Shimon and Levi were talking because they seem to be
Look at pasuk Chavim. והם לא ידעו כי שומע יוסף. They didn't realize that Yosef understands the conversation. כי המליץ בין אותם, they had a translator. And then he starts to cry and he's arresting Shimon. Because he's a threat from Shimon also. Listen carefully. The Gemara says Yosef heard 10 times how they relate to Yaakov, Avdecha Avinu. He should have said respectfully, your father is not my slave. 10 times they tell him, yes. If you count, we listen to relationship stories, but if you count it, it's only 5 times they used it. How could they get
one saying, one saying.
Yosef died 10 years earlier than his brothers because he heard 10 times the word Avdecha, the slave. Says the Gaon Vilna, he's the only one who can say it. There was a translator. So every time they say it, he uses it twice with the other translator. This is why it comes out. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shalom, everybody.
Rabbi Pratt Chanukah Sameach. Fred Chanukah.